We're the Meltdown, here with yet another reaction to the latest episode of The Acolyte. This is the Disney Plus Star Wars series set before the prequels, a time never explored on film or on TV or on the big screen before in Star Wars lore, and we are getting it here with The Acolyte. We are 7 episodes in now, and after a brief hiatus due to the 4th of July with our reviews, we are catching you up on our reactions to episodes 6 and 7, and this show has not gotten better for me, John, and I don't enjoy watching it, and if it was not part of my job responsibilities to keep up with the latest in television, I would have checked out a while ago. Now, with all that being said, I don't want this to be too harsh or too cruel of a conversation.
It's too late for that overall.
This thing is crap, in my opinion. And I'm just going to leave it at that, and I want you to tell me that it's not.
It's not good.
Okay. That's a good starting point.
I'll take that as your argument.
I appreciate the honesty.
I have been mildly entertained with some of it.
But not $180 million worth of entertainment.
Well, no. I honestly don't know if a lot of things in life ever give me $180 million worth of entertainment. But since the episode that I did enjoy, which I guess was the last one we did.
Episode 5?
5.
Yeah.
It seems like most of the budget was spent there. It's gone downhill since then. And then this last episode was exactly episode 3 with a bit they could have told in about 10 minutes.
Yes.
And moved on. But they should have basically started when the Wookiee came and got taken over, had that lightsaber fight, which was all right, and then basically said, oh, they died because Trinity took them out of the head, the end. And then moved on to whatever the next part of the story. Because my biggest problem right now is we get the reveal of who the bad guy is. Okay, it's the guy we've already seen.
Yep.
And
his motivation, once again, is he just doesn't like the way things are.
With the Jedi, and the Jedi have some evil in them, and this, I guess, showed that the Jedi have some evil in them, or if you want to make the argument, I guess, they're just doing what they think is right, therefore they're not necessarily evil. You can debate however you want to. I know y'all don't care about debating that. But the problem is, then all we've gotten from the actual bad guy since then is this weird, like, love-verse thing, which is kind of what they tried to do with Kylo and Rey in episode 9. I guess episode 8 and 9.
You didn't think it was strong episode 8. You didn't think it was strong character development with the bad guy going skinny dipping and just randomly
it's just kind of random, and I feel like it would have been better if you somehow worked him into killing all of the witches. But he has nothing to do with that.
No.
So why is he then telling May or commanding May to go do what May's doing? Now, I get why May's doing it.
And don't forget, May was like, you know what? I think I'm going to team up with the Jedi. I think I'm good with them. I think I'm going to actually change my mind.
And they haven't.
And I'm going to become a good guy. But
the other problem
in this, we see that she witnessed the murder of her mother. So why would her motivation change after all these years of hatred? Nothing makes sense.
Nothing showed that they're also actually dead. I don't see how taking them out of the Wookiee's head, the collective out of the Wookiee's head, killed every single one of them necessarily. It's almost like they passed out.
Well, but would it be like Luke Skywalker, Last Jedi, where he used so much of the Force that...
Maybe, but that made more sense. Like, you kind of understood that. I don't know.
It's weird how much we don't understand in this show, given how just bogged down with exposition the show is.
The thing is, the rules, like when I've tried to explain superhero movies and space movies and all that to like my parents, my mom has always said, as long as you make it make sense within the world, I'm okay with it. Mm-hmm. And I would, for the most part, agree with that. There's a lot within this world, and this is where I differ from most people, I guess. There's a lot within this story and this world that if it was explained, I'd say that's pretty cool. But almost none of it has been explained. Like, I actually think the Force Witch aspect of things could be cool. They haven't really done much to explain anything, and they still really haven't explained how the kids came to be. I mean, they kind of threw some explanations for all the stuff we've had questions for, strictly as is based around the witches and them having the kids and then them dying ultimately and moving on. But like the other problem I had was Soul says, okay, I'll tell you what actually happened. Yeah. And then the entire episode is just a replay of episode 3 with context now, with showing the part that you just don't see in episode 3 where the Jedi came in, they have the fight that took over the Wookiee's mind, and they got, Trinity got them out, and then they're dead, I guess. But like, it would have even been better if it was cutting back and forth of like Soul explaining what happened and then explaining here's why we did what we did or something. There wasn't even that. It was strictly let's go back to episode 3 and explain 10 minutes of extra content in a 40-something minute episode that could have just been either tacked on at the end of episode 3 or at the beginning of episode 4 or just been included here where then you jump into the fact that the main bad guy didn't appear at all in this is what really drove me nuts, because that's an angle that like, okay, he had a cool lightsaber fight. He has a cool helmet. So let's get more about him. All we know is now he wants to like kiss Osha, and
there's a lot of things that are barely introduced in this series that none of them pay off. Even something as simple as the lightsaber whip that we've not seen on film before. Yeah, that was just kind of randomly
thrown in there, which is cool, but like,
there's give us any reason to care about it. Give us any reason to care about any of this.
She could have done that, and then her Padawan, whoever was with her, could have been like, whoa, how'd you do that? Well, I used the Force, and explain it. It's like, oh, okay, that's cool.
I channeled the Force through the.
I'm a stronger Jedi than everybody else. I can do whatever I want.
One thing that I actually think, there's two things that I think would be a help to this series. One is tell the story in a linear fashion. Don't start off with giving us bits and pieces of what is the present and then going back and then giving us past the present and then going back, and then don't keep shifting the timeline. Start off from these kids going all the way through, and this should have been episode 2. That would have made it actually stronger, I think, as a series. Now, there's no saving this series, in my opinion, but that would have helped. Also, drop them all at once, because every week we're reminded of how bad this thing is.
Well, this is a bingeable show that if you got to this, even being the second to last, I'm just saying just how you consume it. It's more of a bingeable show as opposed to a week-to-week show. Like, I get it, Tyler. You hate it.
He's not saying he wants to consume it.
I'm just saying.
He's saying it's better if you eat all the slop up front.
We have debated different shows. Like House of the Dragon is a show you want to wait for. You have to discuss. There's a lot going on.
There's an anticipation. There's a buzz.
With the storytelling in it, you have to think about it for a while, discuss it, and all that kind of stuff.
This one would have been better. They drop it all at once.
There's a lot of Netflix shows that are great, but they're just bingeable shows. It's easier. 30-minute episodes, which for the most part, these are 30-minute episodes. But if this was
10 minutes of credit, so
if this was bingeable, then you would have seen this episode, even being episode 7, from episode 3 to episode 7, you at least would have seen this likely within the same day or within the same couple days, as opposed to it's been over a month since we've seen it. That's the thing. It's like we know the vast majority of this. We just need a little bit of context kind of trickled in there, and it's done now, and we had to wait a whole month, and then we had to use a whole episode to do something that you could have just said, oh, the Jedi are bad, make your own mind up, whatever, move on.
Oh, this one, this tells you the Jedi are bad and the witches are good. Oh, you thought the Jedi were always good.
If you're a witch, I guess you do think
another reason why a linear approach would be better is because we got a fight last night in episode 7 between a Wookiee and 2 other Jedi Masters that had no stakes, because you already know that none of them are going to perish in this fight, because you have already...
Because you've watched most of them already die.
Yeah, you've already seen them die later on. And also, do you feel more attached to the Jedi deaths if you have been with these Jedi from the early stages where, they may have a little bit of a cover-up going on, but what are they really covering up? That's the thing with me, is it's not really there's no gotcha moment for the Jedi. I mean, for the most part, they're defending themselves, or they are reacting to fires being set, even if they're accidental, which I think is just a lame
That was the other thing.
Twist. Also,
showing that being accidental this time, as opposed to it seemed more on purpose before, was like, so she didn't?
Last time she said, I'm going to kill you, I think.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure
this time she didn't. This time she was like, oh no, what have I done?
And then any other time you see May do anything, say anything, she's like, clearly, she's like visibly homicidal, and I didn't even know that was possible. But
For a
no,
little kid.
in this situation,
Not named
it
Damien.
was just an accident.
And the kid acting's bad.
It's
sorry.
atrocious.
It's not good.
It's not. I dislike May way more than OSHA because the evil, like, I'm going to turn evil now. No, I'm worried about this. No, I'm evil now. No, this was an accident. The going back, at least OSHA has one lane she's going in, so it's not quite as bad. But the May side of thing is
That's
bad.
OSHA's lane.
It's another thing. Like, let's just say I've never been a diehard Jedi fan, right? I've always been more of a fan of sort of the scruffy Han Solo type that interacts in this world and is sort of the normalcy and the balance of the Force. This is the height of the Jedi we're witnessing, and they're bumbling idiots. All of them. I'm talking about, when the flashback scenes, they're all idiots. When they're fighting this Sith lover guy who says he's Sith, but maybe not. I don't know. They're all idiots.
The one defense that me, as the lover of the show, supposedly, that I did find funny is after the episode where they didn't realize, because remember they all go, this guy's acting, the one that's the bad guy, Kimir, how do you say? I don't even say his name.
I don't know.
But
Smilo Ren.
Smilo Ren is mostly what people have said.
Rilo Ken.
He is, which they've used, and people have pointed this out, and I didn't know this necessarily, and I don't know why they're using this. And then if they don't bring this up, then it's completely wasteful. Every time he appears on screen, they use Kylo Ren's theme in his music.
Really?
Yeah. And people put it side by side of like when Kylo Ren pops up in the sequels versus now, and it's like, oh, it does match up. And if they don't point, if the fact that everybody on social media has pointed that out, if you don't do anything with it now, it's like, well, then why the hell did you use it? But anyway, that's beside the point.
Got to stick around for season 2.
The fact that, because, they all find him, I don't remember where they were, but they all find him, I guess when they were killing the one that's the Padawan, Torben, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
They see him and he's acting like he's helping May, but then they don't realize that, oh, that's the bad guy. And it's like, how do, 6 or 7 Jedi get to him and not realize, oh, this dude's got some evil in him? And then everybody's like, oh, that's a fair point. Yeah, these Jedi are idiots. What? And then somebody posted a picture of the prequels where all of the Jedi Council is sitting in Palpatine's office talking to him about just whatever's going on in the world, and they have no idea that he's actually the bad guy. So it has happened before, but it was funny. I just think
Palpatine at least came off as smart.
That was Palpatine gaming them compared to them just being absolute fools. And I feel like there's
to be
a
fair,
little
some
bit
of them it's a little bit of both. I think
some of them it's a little bit of both, and they're featured in both series.
Because the other thing is like, it's crazy how many times we get Jedi masters that so adamantly go against the council to raise some kid, and it ends up turning bad. It's like, what happened with Anakin, with Qui-Gon Jinn? What's happening now? It's like, I got to take this kid in there. Well, you got everybody dead because you took this kid in there.
We got one more episode of this show.
Woohoo!
Do you think that we're going to see Yoda?
No.
Thank God. That's one thing at least the show got right. They're not desecrating that character.
I think tying it into any other Star Wars works would just cheapen him at this point.
Because he would, if you saw him, it would be on Coruscant.
Stand, crash, and burn on its own 2 feet.
I don't know that you see Coruscant again. Because you only have one episode left. It's going to be a 30, 40-minute episode like most of them have been. And I feel like even though this last episode, because it was in the past, obviously, Osha wanted to become a Jedi, so she had to go to Coruscant. The Padawan wanted to go back to Coruscant and get away from everything. But the thing is, you have to wrap up, you're supposed to wrap up the bad guy storyline, or at least let it lead off to a second season, which you're not going to get, but you make you make it beforehand. So obviously you're building up to potentially that. But I don't think you even go back to Coruscant. So there's going to be a whole lot of questions even left on Coruscant, what the Jedi Council actually said, because we never saw the Council talking to Trinity. So what actually happened? I think she made it all up. So then it's like there's so many more questions, even to be answered with last night, where they answered all the questions. That's the problem.
I hate this series. I've been very obvious about that. Tyler, I think, is feeling the same way. It is an absolute drain on me to have to even start it and watch it. I'm starting to get upset at the sort of main title card that Disney Star Wars has produced, because when I see it now, I used to feel joy seeing that little light across each of the characters and the Star Wars thing. But now I watch it and I'm like, oh God, what am I about to have to sit through again? Because this is dumb. This is, imagine the stupidest people in our lives, John, ended up getting handed the keys to Star Wars, and this is what they produce.
To be fair, I know some people that could probably do worse.
Oh, I'm right there with you, but this is bad. You agree. Right? I'm trying to find some sort of kumbaya here, because I know you're still halfway defending it.
Oh, I'll give the show some praise real quick. Oh, Wrong camera. All right. There's one shot last night of some speeder bikes. I like that.
Okay.
I like the speeder bike.
I actually thought that was one of the worst looking scenes.
It was horrible.
Oh, there we go.
The CGI
I just like that they are in there.
They're in there, but they look better in Jedi. I mean,
I agree. I agree. They look better in Return of the Jedi.
That was made a long time ago. But John, you agree, I hope, that this series has set Star Wars back compared to move it forward.
Yeah.
With quality being associated with the Star Wars brand.
I only think
It's a misfire.
I only think
Great poster.
3 things in Disney Star Wars have set Star Wars back from whatever level it was currently at.
Can I guess?
To actually set it back.
Can I guess?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Acolyte clearly is one.
Acolyte, Rise of Skywalker.
Yes.
And I don't think you're going to say Last Jedi, even though I think that is a correct answer because it's what started the division.
It started it, but I would say, like, I think the Force Awakens was like, okay, like, even if you didn't love it, it's like, it was a well-made movie, whatever, okay. Then Last Jedi brought it kind of back to the level, and then Rise of Skywalker then made it a step back.
What's the third one?
Solo was a Disney movie, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the third one.
Wow, because you defended that one pretty heavily when it came out at the time. I was very harsh on it. I was very harsh on the overall grand picture.
And I'm not saying for me.
And Matt Murphy sat in an office and chastised me.
I'm not saying I hated Solo. I'm just saying I think those are the 3 that set it back. Yeah, I didn't hate Rise of Skywalker like everybody else. After the opening night, we got on the phone and was like, going back and forth. You were like, this is garbage. And I was like, the whole time. And I still probably said that about it. But I like Rise of Skywalker better than all 3 of the prequels, and I'll still say that. Now, once again, I don't think that's saying much. And number 2, it's still well behind all the rest of them. But, and I'm not counting Rogue One, just episode 1, 2, and 3. But
I think Rise of Skywalker is the worst Star Wars movie ever made.
I will 100% defend that it's not the worst.
But it's because I agree with you that Force Awakens was a great reset for Star Wars. Mm-hmm. And it took all of that payoff potential and crapped on it because they couldn't sit down and come up with a plan.
And to me, Force Awakens
is a slap in the face of the movie you love so much.
No, I'm not disagreeing, but number 1, Force Awakens is number 1 for me. Yeah. So clearly I'm more on these sequels than everybody else on the planet is. And
let me
number 2, I think there's things to enjoy from it, but I know I'm very much in the minority, which is why I'm willing to say Solo and it set it back. I don't know that anybody is fully into the Acolyte. I'm not fully into the Acolyte. I'm saying there's some things I like, but I'm still very much saying it's not great. It still has a lot of issues and all that.
If it didn't have Star Wars attached to it, it would be looked at as one of the worst science fiction series ever made.
See, I don't think so. I think a lot of people look at it being like, I mean, it's whatever, it's fine, I guess, but Star Wars is like, no, hold on. This is disrespecting a legacy to people. If you're not disrespecting a legacy, people don't hate it as much.
It's not written well.
Number 1, not as many people watch it if it's not Star Wars, so it doesn't get quite as much hate because of that. And number 2, people hate this for disrespecting Star Wars.
Because it sucks.
But that's what I'm saying.
It sucks on its own.
It sucks for Star Wars.
It also stains the legacy.
If this was just like a random show that popped up on Netflix, people would have watched it and been like, I don't really care if they make a season 2 or not, and moved on. If it had no Star Wars attachment to it whatsoever. Now, it would be kind of weird because you have Wookiees and you have Jedi and you have lightsabers.
Don't get me wrong. People take it more personal because it has Star Wars associated with it.
But the bad review bombing and all that happens because
everyone
of Star
would
Wars.
agree. Everyone would agree it sucked if it didn't have Star Wars. If it didn't have Disney Star Wars associated with it, you would be tearing this thing apart going, this is not good at all. This is
I would
awful.
be saying the same. I would probably be saying it's okay.
Put the Rebel Moon branding on there then.
I said Rebel Moon was okay. First one. Second one wasn't very good. But I said the first Rebel Moon was okay.
Look,
if you label Rebel Moon Star Wars, I'd eviscerate Rebel Moon way more.
This is what we
agree on. Zack Snyder said they wouldn't let me make a Star Wars movie, so because it is a Star Wars movie, it's just not labeled Star Wars. It's like, it's Zack Snyder visually, it's cool looking, that I give it some respect for certain things. I give this respect for I like the lightsaber fights in it. Look, but even that gets crapped on when I bring that up.
I think you are a defender of the brand, and I give you credit for that. But you're blinded by the fact that your brand loyalty is so intense that this on paper even is bad. Like if you just read the script, you're like, this is poorly written. Everything about it, the motivations are so... There's no actual reason given for why a character can flip their entire ideology in no time and then go right back to what they were thinking before.
I feel like even though we've seen more locations than I feel like we typically do in a Star Wars movie, the world feels real small in this. Just really cramped, and like it just doesn't have any room to breathe. There's not really a full world there.
John, I think this is the way we should end this conversation. And that is just talking about the current state of Star Wars is bad. The current state of Star Wars, you have people that hate it because it is Disney. You have people that hate it because it sucks. You have people that love it because it's Disney. You have people that genuinely love it, that think it's like really, really good. And I feel like there's a civil war between Star Wars fans right now. And I don't know.
Oh, there was long before the show happened.
Oh, absolutely. But it's become more intense after this. More intense. It was already existent. But Mandalorian...
It was a Cold War before.
Remember, Mandalorian brought the sides together. You agree with that, right?
Yeah.
It brought everybody together.
For the most part.
Wow, this is awesome. You know. Now, not everybody, but it brought a lot of people together.
I would say for the most part because it was happening as episode 9 came out. So that's why it was kind of like still a division. It was about to end as episode 9 came out.
It was a uniter in a time where they needed it most. And this is a divider. This is putting people on different sides of the aisle again. And I don't know what Disney Star Wars does next to bring people back together. Because even the Mandalorian movie right now feels like it's too little too late.
I already know the answer.
The Rey movie is going to be eviscerated
before
people even see it.
The answer is you can't do anything.
And that's where we're at with Star Wars.
It could be the greatest thing on the planet, and everybody's already checked out. It doesn't matter.
But the Acolyte is far from the greatest thing on the planet. It is a huge step in the wrong direction to where it's creating more division, more hatred, and decreasing the value of the brand overall. And I feel very strongly about that. For the people who are actually sticking with it, and those that are watching the negative reactions more than they're even watching the show, and it's become really cool to hate on Disney Star Wars. You know why? Because the quality of it has dipped so far.
Out of curiosity, I looked at what the rating was because IMDb has been the lowest for this of everything.
I got 3 out of 10.
The episode last night before it aired had a 2 out of 10 with like 100 reviews.
Maybe they were going to change it after the fact if they were impressed. I don't know.
No, I'm just saying that's how. But yeah, I'm going to the point of people are
a mission.
People are making it their mission to hate it, whether they even watch it or not. And I'm not saying if they watched it, it would be great. I'm just saying they're making it their mission. That's just how it is right now. That it doesn't matter what it is.
Made it your mission to defend it, regardless of its quality.
I think the flip side of that is like there is all this criticism, some as part of just like basically trolling, just like, I hate Disney, so I'm going to make a Rotten Tomatoes account and bomb it. But then the response to the people who have genuine criticisms from Disney is just, no, this is all online boogeymen making these criticisms.
Oh,
the show's fine, and that's what's frustrating.
It's definitely both.
I've had someone in my life that watches these Acolyte reviews that we do, and you know what they tell me every single time? John is fighting so hard to find anything good to say about this series. And you know it's true.
Okay.
Like, I know that you have this mission, but like, aren't you just as much of the problem trying to find things to defend it because of your brand loyalty as those that are trolling it because they hate the brand?
I've said what? I like one of these episodes? But even that's like, oh, you're the problem because you like one of the episodes? I literally came on and said the last 2 episodes we watched were not good. But I'm the problem for defending it?
I just think that the minute I can hear from you that this series is crap, the better off that we'll be with.
But also, 90% of what we're talking about would not have happened if it wasn't Star Wars. If it wasn't Disney Star Wars.
No, it's personal to people. There is no doubt about that.
That's what I'm saying. It would not have been as negatively received if it was not Disney Star Wars. I'm not saying it would have been good.
It also wouldn't have been as defended.
It wouldn't have been, but on Rotten Tomatoes, instead of a 10, it's a 40.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is.
It's just so poorly crafted.
But that's not good. Yeah. I'm just saying everybody's purposely going to give it as many 0 out of 5s and 0 out of 10s, if that's even possible, as they can before episodes even air.
Yeah.
Because it's about defending Star Wars. If it's not about defending Star Wars, nobody cares until the episode airs, and they watch it and say it's not good, and then give it whatever review they do.
Star
but there's
Wars,
media members and stuff out there that do these reviews on Rotten Tomatoes and all as well that are trying to defend Star Wars and the Star Wars they love and all that, not just people watching it.
You were tasked with the Luntz's list of 5 friendly pieces of advice for Lucasfilm, Disney, Lucasfilm, Star Wars. And number 1 at the top of that list was a nice, big, fun retirement party for Kathleen Kennedy.
Yes.
The fact that there has been no sacrifice of Kathleen Kennedy thus far from Disney Lucasfilm.
She needs to undergo the ascension.
How would that
Thanks, John.
news resonate in bringing the fan base together if she was to be shown the door? Do you think it would be a step in the right direction?
It'd be a temporary high because I think Disney is terrified of what move is next because if it's worse, because Kathleen Kennedy has had plenty of success over her career. She's fallen off now, but she has had better success than almost anybody out there. Then if they make a next move that is wrong, then you're talking about Disney as a whole falling. That is a tough move you don't want to make quite yet.
This has been the most shocking review we've done of the Acolyte thus far because
I never thought I'd hear those
I
words.
mean, do you really disagree?
I don't
No.
disagree.
Not at all.
I'm just shocked you said the words out loud.
But
You're right.
That's why they haven't done anything yet. Because
John, you're right.
It's like firing a football coach who's won you 10 national championships. They've gone 3-8 the last few seasons, but 3-9 the last few seasons.
No.
So do you fire him, or is there still a little bit of that coach left in there? You let it drag longer than you probably should with those kind of coaches. You let it drag longer with a Bobby Bowden than you probably should. But you're afraid, what's that next move? Because it's not always the right move. And sometimes you put yourself even further back in the dark ages, which can happen compared to where we are right now.
The current state of Disney Star Wars is a disaster. And it's only gotten worse because of the noise and chatter around this series. You may say the series isn't that bad as a whole, or it's not as bad as people are letting on. But the reaction to the reaction is real. People are flooding these post-show reactions, and it has become very trendy to be anti-Star Wars, anti-Disney Star Wars especially. And the group that needs to be blamed the most right now is Disney themselves, because they are serving up less than quality product to the fan base. And it is a really tough time to be a Star Wars fan right now. I want to talk about our title sponsor, John. That's MyBookie. As you talk about coaches, there's a lot of coaches right now developing game plans, and everyone can put a little extra cha-ching in their pocket thanks to those coaches working up their game plans and making the right bets there at MyBookie. Which,
of course, you can watch on ESPN, owned by Disney. Go to mybookie.ag, promo code next round right there in the corner. You can bet anything, anytime, anywhere in the sportsbook, casino, live casino, slots, all kind of stuff. Mybookie.ag.
There we have it, the Acolyte Episode 7 reaction and a little bit of the current state of Star Wars, which is a very bleak place a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. We'll be back with Acolyte season finale, episode 8, as it airs next week. Make sure you like this video and subscribe.